All right, so in the next session, we'll be hearing from a few speakers and how they've used Cosmos DB to build an app for patients with diabetes and how they've developed using the Linux emulator and how to migrate using applications onto Cosmos DB. So yeah, on to you, Deborah.
Thanks, Steph. Yeah, I just want to say before we move on, my favorite part of just the whole keynote was just seeing all the amazing real-world scenarios that I could really relate to. And as someone who works on the product, it's really awesome to see it being used in the real world and having an impact there. So on that theme, our next speakers will be Dr. Alok Kanungo, Chief Diabetologist and Chairman at Kids Hospital, joined by Vikram Ray, Solution Architect at rx1.net, who will be telling us how they built an application on Cosmos DB to help patients with diabetes.
Thank you. Welcome. Hi, Vikram. Start for a few minutes, then I'll join.
Sure. I'm audible?
Yes.
Hi, all. Actually, we heard a lot about Cosmos DB. It is an amazing and magical product. And that actually led us to use for diabetics because, as you all know, diabetic is the #1 killer disease, and with COVID, it made it difficult to take care of diabetic peoples because of the close downs. So that made us to develop an application for the diabetics people for global solution, because diabetic is a global problem, a disease. So that's why Dr. Alok Kanungo helped us, or actually we helped, we worked together to come up this Nimai Cosmos DB based application for the diabetic patients for Alok Kanungo's diabetic specialist hospital. So you can start, Alok, so then I'll follow from you. Yeah.
Right. So dear friends, I'm happy to share this platform with you, with these internationally reputed technocrats, and Vikram and me understanding very well about the problems of diabetes. We thought of giving a little betterment in life to those millions of diabetics and their family members. And as you know, diabetes is a chronic disease which occurs when the pancreas does not produce enough insulin, or when the body cannot effectively use the insulin it produces. This leads to an increased concentration of glucose in the blood, or called as hyperglycemia. There are type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and diabetes in pregnancy. And diabetes is not a glucose disease alone, not a sugar disease alone. It is noted for its complications like stroke, heart attack, peripheral artery disease, diabetic retinopathy, cataract, glaucoma, diabetic foot, diabetic nephropathy, and peripheral neuropathy, where patients suffer a lot. Diabetes is the 4th leading cause of global death by all causes. Up to 80% of type 2 diabetes is preventable by diet and physical activity. And before the insulin was discovered, the diagnosis of diabetes was coming with a death certificate within 6 months. This child in the center, you find Johnson, was given the first dose of insulin, and after 2 months, you find his health has improved so well. So 1921, Banting and Best changed the way we were looking at diabetes. As I told, retinopathy, coronary artery heart disease, nephropathy, peripheral vascular disease, and neuropathy are one of the most common problems of diabetes. And number of people with diabetes worldwide and per IDF region is increasing. And there is a projection that now it is 2022, by 2045, the people within 20 to 79 years will be doubled, tripled in the world. And the number will be phenomenal. And these countries where you find these countries with these marks are Africa. The IDF has divided it into different regions like South and Central America, Africa, Middle East and North Africa, and Southeast Asia. And the numbers are going to be very high in Southeast Asia. If the current trends continue, 700 million adults will have diabetes by 2045. The largest increase will take place where economies are moving from low to middle income status. This is a very important point to note. As you can see, the diabetes in children or type 1 diabetes is increasing hugely in Europe and other countries. And in few time, it will be more. But in Southeast Asia, the International Diabetes Federation postulation or study is that from between the age of 35 to 75, the number of, or even 80, number of diabetics are increasing very heavily. And in India is also 9 to 10% population are affected, whereas in Bangladesh and some other countries, Ceylon, it is more than 10%. So in every part of the world, this is increasing. And in poor countries, people with diabetes have to bear the entire cost of their treatment. And in India, more than 25% of income is spent to avoid fatally high blood glucose level. And that is the pinch we are feeling. And what is if nothing is done to control this pandemic? Threat to subvert the economic gain globally, stress on government budget like disability, pension, medical service, cost, revenue, etc. More problematic situation in developing countries than in the developed countries. So as you know, medically we are learned that diabetes management depends on diet, drugs, exercise, education and social support. This is very important, where Bikram is playing an important role. He is providing social support to diabetes families, and we are trying to make the life better of those families. Family income is reduced by diabetes, more time is spent in care of diabetes, fear and experience of disability and premature death are very few things. When a system is not working for patients, trying harder will not work. Only changing the care system or our approach to care will work. And that has led to this problem of creating an app about which Bikram will talk in loud. Because in India and other Asian countries, there is no access to health care and people can't reach, but everybody has a telephone, mobile phone. So we are developing an app where there will be much more benefit to a patient, and it will connect the isolated patient to the national or state level healthcare system. Thank you, Vikram. This is your time now.
Okay, thank you, Alok. Okay, so as Dr. Kanungo said, this is a global problem. And we have to act fast because of the COVID. People are not getting treatment and access to healthcare. So those two things we drive and looking for a solution, which will be global. It will be fast to develop, and it is cost effective. So with these three goals we searched, and that was a Cosmos DB was our choice because it gives all those threes and more than that. So we went with Cosmos DB because also Cosmos DB is not first time I'm using. We have used it in a lot of places, but with this noble cause, first time we are using Cosmos DB with the help of Dr. Kanungo. So our goal was to have continuous patient engagement, whether they are near or far, local or global, and continuously monitor the care systems so that we can improve continuously. These are the two visions of our application. And because of Cosmos DB data, database with cloud native database, it gives all those things and made it happen. So in high, these are our features. We designed this to empower the patients, engage with them, and enhance our process. First, we network with our patients through our app, and we can give alerts, and we can chat with them with remote care. And based on their remote care, what we observe, we can give very personalized, curated information. We can push to their our users through our app. And then an engagement, we have 24/7 monitoring through our alert systems from your app. And we look into that, and we see how we can improve if they're close to us or not, if they're far away, which is the nearest healthcare, we can connect with them. And apart from this is a new thing, because we are not just only depending on the allopathic, we are also connecting to homeopathic and Ayurvedic, which in India is big, to see if combination of that can help diabetic patients. So this is one holistic approach we are having. And the data is coming. We analyze using Azure machine learning and cognitive services, and we get the insight, and we improve our process. So this is our whole model. And this is very high level architecture, where our app is there. We have two apps, one for doctor, one is for our patient. And from lab, they can upload their tests to our storage. And our API will push to Azure like Event Hub. And then Cosmos DB will take that. And this is a big thing. Cosmos DB is like a work well with Azure Synapse Analytics. That was a big deal for us. And then we get all the hospital and pharmaceuticals details or research from them. So we get the data insight, and we use our analytics. And we also open to other third-party data. We get like different, suppose weather or some pandemic disease informations. Everything we come through this Azure data factory, and we get to our Azure Synapse, and we do the analytics. And then that we present to the Power Apps for the immediate presentation and Power BI. And our professional network can use office team to use that, and also family. This is a big deal, because in our healthcare, nobody cares about family, because in Indian context, families plays a big role. So they can also access to our analytics and the well-being of the patient. So we did that. And apart from that, we have APIs where other people can also talk to us. We talk to third party, and third party also can talk to us. It is like in collaborations, and we design this one so that way we can grow together. That is the main thing. Then it is already available. If anybody wants to coordinate or partner with us, or we want to work together with. So this is please let us know, nimai@rx1.net, and Dr. Alok Kanungo will help to make it successful. Thank you. Any questions we'll take, or?
Bikram. Hey, look,
Yeah.
thank you so much for the great content, and to see just the important work that you and your team are doing. So I've got a couple questions. I'll start off with one. One is, looks like you use a lot of Azure services together to build this application. I see Synapse, Cosmos DB, various other services there.
Right.
What were some of the surprises or challenges that you may have encountered? What advice might you give to other people?
Yeah, actually, Yeah, Azure, we have worked a lot in Azure, but Cosmos DB is like a pleasant surprise. It is very fast to develop. Our developers, so that's why within few months we could bring up a whole system and start working. Like testing and all those things we could do, which was not possible with SQL or any other database. And it is very fast. And developers love the API, SQL API, because already they know the SQL, and so they're from SQL to transition to SQL DB was Cosmos DB was very easy. So, and also global, because we wanted some application, some database to be globally distributed. Like Cosmos DB replication is just click, you are in from US, you can go to India, or so that is also we are looking, because our application is addressing the global disease. So we are making it ready in the backend to global ready also.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I also have another question. I saw that on that chart that you had some Nimai API, and then it sends some event streams to Event Hub, and then that goes on to the Cosmos DB Mongo API. Did you have previous experience using like a NoSQL database, and how is that different from using Cosmos DB, or if you were just using SQL in the past?
I have used Cosmos DB in different our applications. We have other applications we have used Cosmos DB, but I never used in healthcare context, and especially for diabetics in COVID time. So this is first time we did on healthcare, and we did because of the help of Dr. Kanon Go.
Awesome.
Yeah, go ahead.
Deborah.
I was just going to ask for the application, did you have any interesting feedback, or what's been the impact so far of having your app out there?
Yeah, we are getting good feedback, and people who have used, like we are in like a test users are there. Anybody interested, they can send nimai at rx1.net, NIMAI, nimai at rx1.net. We'll send, and we have almost 300 test users now we are doing, because like it is a healthcare applications we cannot open without proper testing. So once it will be ready, then we'll open to everybody. Anybody can just log in and get it from the marketplace, or like Play, what do you call, Android Play Market or something like that. Yep.
Yeah, and just one final question from me. Did you have any particular like key learnings? I know you said the development time was pretty quickly or pretty quick with Cosmos DB, but did you have any like interesting challenges or things that you'd like to share with with people on how your experience was overall?
Yeah, Cosmos DB is good that like you can design schemaless, and you can grow as your application grows. And also because in healthcare, our data sources from many places and many labs, hospitals. So we cannot stick to schema. Bring the data, then we can integrate. So bringing the data is which is helping Cosmos DB, making our life easy. And apart from that, actually we had problem because first we started the Xamarin. But Xamarin, I think it is not that, we run into different situations, like so that we change to Flutter, and that gives the speed. Cosmos DB backend and front end is a Flutter. It gives really speed to our development. So
that's cool. Great to see that. And then we also just had one more question come in. Is this a multi-language application?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, we are planning to. We have not done that because we did so fast. We are looking. Yeah, we'll implement because it is a global. So English now it is only in English. But in India also we are having a problem because in India we talk 26 languages. So we are addressing that problem. But once this testing is done, then we'll go to version 2. We'll have a multi-language. But now it is only English.
Cool. On the off chance, if they meant language by like software engineering language,
Yeah.
do you want to share a little bit about like the either tech stack or languages used there?
Which one?
Oh, on the off chance, so there's like the language of the app itself, but then
Okay.
if they're interested in like .NET, Java, Python, C#.
Backend, it is all API based. We use a lot of Azure functions and Azure Web API. Basically, we're Azure site. Actually, we do everything on Azure backend. That all done in the .NET, C#. But front end, we are using a grid, a Flutter. It's called Griddle or something. Like I'm not well. It is like it is a Flutter. It creates that, and then it generates the we can generate for iOS and Android. Then we publish those tools. But backend is all .NET.
Good to hear. This is awesome to see. We actually have a lot of questions coming in. So great engagement to see from the audience. As a friendly reminder to our audience, you can paste questions in the chat anytime. They'll show up to our team and we'll either answer them on the chat or bring them up to our speakers as well.
Sure.
So I've got a couple more questions here. One is about, I guess, could be a little bit related. One is about wanting to learn more about how you actually load all the data from your disparate sources. And then a corresponding question around, just to get a sense of the scale, how many RUs have you provisioned in Cosmos DB for this app?
Yeah, as I said, we are around 300 test users we have now. But Cosmos DB can handle as much as, because we are partitioning by user. So, we have, like our base will be in millions. So that way we are keeping that in our design. And what is the other question you had?
So two questions. One is to understand more about how you
load the data.
handle the data loads.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there is a two type of data. One is online data, which we get it from app or API. And also this app API will open up. So anybody they don't have to use our, Flutter app, mobile app. They can use web, they can call our APIs and they can develop their API. We'll open those APIs also. So that is like a online, like a real, online app data. But backend data, like there's labs, test labs, hospitals, or data from different research universities, because we will collaborate with different universities now. IIT Kharagpur here in Suffolk University in US. We are because the more people come, we want to make it really a global initiative. So that's why we will get data through the Azure Data Factory, so that we can schedule, and we have got APIs also. If they want to come through APIs, we have APIs they can call. So we want to integrate with as much as people, so that our data will be rich and our machine learning will be model will be really good, so that we can predict or we can help our patients much better.
Sounds like you have a lot of disparate sources. I imagine just having so many disparate sources, the schemaless nature must be quite helpful. You can
it is. That helps a lot.
So do you, so I guess another question come in and around, just wanted to understand kind of the volume of the data loaded, as well as just the general scale and RUs of the app.
Yeah, means volume of data, like that we can control through, like when we can bring like what is called cold data. You can say cold data, but hot data that is coming through API, and we are using what is called or functions where we can increase anytime. That is, and we are also using Azure Web API. There's app service, app services, and that also you can scale out. So now we don't have need for that because we are only 300. But when it comes, we can scale out. So we don't see architecturally any problem there. Or if anybody has any suggestions, we are open to that, because like we want to work together. So if anybody sees any problem or they want to have suggestions, or we are open to, we can talk, technically or architecturally, we're open to talk.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, it sounds like everything seems super flexible at where you're starting from in the beginning, and then you're planning just to scale up as you get more customers and more usage on your application.
Right.
Cool.
So I guess on that note, Vikram and Alok, is there anything else you'd like to say? Otherwise, we can wrap up the session and conclude on to the next speakers. Any last
Okay,
words?
so thank you. I'll just put that nimai@rx1.net to everybody. If anybody wants technically or want to use the app or any suggestion or advice, we're open to that because we are just starting. So yeah, there's a long way to go. It's not the end, it's just starting. So all your help appreciated. Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming. It was great having you.
Thank you.